Fans, it's Aztec 101 in the ring. This is a response video to Zone6 boxing. He just recently uploaded a video talking about Andre Ward and whether he's #1 pound for pound. Zone6, great video. And I guess I just want to give you my 2 cents. You know, this isn't a conflicting argument. Maybe it is, but it's just adding on to what you're talking about, because I sometimes find I have to be very careful on who I talk pound for pound list to, because some people don't understand what it is. And I remember you going back and forth educating this guy named Q-Ball, right? And you were this was years ago, and you were going back and forth on pound for pound and the definition and all that. And you know, he didn't believe that it was a list. He thought it was just one person. Like, pound for pound, it's either you are or you're not, you know. And anyways, but that reminds me, even that little back and forth that you guys had just kind of reminded me that there's a lot of people that either they take the pound for pound really seriously, or they really don't understand what it is, you know. You have your reasons on why Andre Ward is not #1 pound for pound, and the reasons why you brought up are all valid. You know, it's the style, his resume, your opinion on some of the outcomes of his fights. These are all valid reasons. I mean, I've heard more petty reasons. I mean, I'm sure you were around watching videos and seeing people talking about Chocolatito, right? And instead of talking about his technique or his skill, people were saying, well, you know, there's no way he could be #1 pound for pound. We didn't even know about him until HBO got to him. You know, it didn't matter how many championship fights he had, if he moved up divisions, who he fought, and who these guys were. It's the fact that we didn't know who they were, so that's reason enough. Because he wasn't popular. You know, because he wasn't popular, he wasn't #1 pound for pound. So I've heard petty reasons, and I've heard really good reasons on why certain fighters shouldn't be up for pound. But yeah, it's all valid when it comes down to something that makes sense. If you're being rational, and you have a rational reason. And here's the thing too, is that what's funny with the pound for pound list is, you know, we get so caught up on trying to find who do we agree with on #1, you know. But just to be named top 10, I think, would be an honor for any fighter. You know, we take it for granted because we're not in there. But, you know, imagine if you spent your entire life doing something, and you get to a point where someone says, hey, there's out of the top 10 people, you're #7. That's, you know, that's still some great, I don't know, that's something to be proud of, right? If you did achieve that kind of level, where out of thousands or millions of people that chose the same path, you know, you ended up reaching the top 10, you know. And what's funny is that we get so caught up on who's #1 that even if you agree that with someone else that Andre Ward is #1 pound for pound, doesn't mean that you're going to agree on who's #2, who's #3, #4. So everyone's list is always a little bit different. Maybe some people have the same list, right? But for the most part, everyone's a little bit different. And, you know, HBO isn't going to come out and say that their list is subjective, you know. And a lot of people really feel that when they see that name up there on HBO's list, it's official. It's fucking official, you know. Which I think that if it comes from casual boxing fans, it's only coming out of innocence. But if it's coming out of boxing fans that know better, then it's a little bit of stupidity, or I don't know. It's got to be stupidity. I mean, you can't really feel like that's official. I mean, it's not going to affect anyone's check. I don't care if you put Crawford or or Andre Ward or Guillermo Rigondeaux, number one pound for pound, you know? Will any one of those fighters this year make more money than Canelo? Because we're not talking about Canelo, but does it affect your check? No. Do you get a ceremony where you're crowned the number one? No. And the shit changes so much. Think about it. The list from 2016 is not going to be the same list in 2017. And then by 2018, I bet you everyone's list will change. At least just a little bit. Names will switch. Because there's so many opportunities now. You're starting to notice that big fights are happening. Fighters are taking risks. They're moving up in weight. And things are actually happening now, you know? I mean, who's to say Andre Ward's number one pound for pound? I mean, if some people will only go on resume. And if you talked about resumes, you know, would you consider Klitschko? Klitschko is still fighting. He's got one of the best resumes in boxing today. I mean, if not the best, right? I mean, his resume is a type of resume that can compare to a fucking legendary resume of the past. Some of these fighters in the lower weight divisions can't do that with their own resume, and they're the best in their division. Even with all the losses that Klitschko has, he still has all the necessary names to be able to compete. I mean, he's still taking on big names that are, you know, high level competition. So, and that's what it takes. So, in my opinion, you know, hey, if you don't think that Andre Ward's number one pound for pound, fuck it, put it out there, man. Put out your list. You know, I think a lot of people put too much weight into it. And don't be fucking apologetic. You know, if someone else puts out a good argument that makes you change your mind, that's one thing. But don't be apologetic over your list. Because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I think that I personally would at least consider Andre Ward. I have to consider Andre Ward number one pound for pound. His name has to be considered, you know, and I haven't put much thought into it, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem putting him number one pound for pound. You know, he moved up in weight. Kovalev didn't do that. You know, some other fighters haven't done that. Golovkin hasn't done that. He's fought a lot of champions, but he's had a lot of time off, you know. So I don't know. And then there's the performances. See, once you start thinking about it, it's a little bit different. But right off the bat, I wouldn't mind considering him. But I can't disagree with your argument. I don't like his style either, man. I don't. I think Crawford has a much better style, but what are we going on? Are we going on style or resume? Because Crawford doesn't match up to Andre Ward yet, but I don't know. That's why I kind of have to sit back and kind of think of a list, but good video. I just kind of rambled on. Maybe a reaction to your video, but I don't know if I added anything to it. It sparked up something in my brain to want to do a response. Good stuff coming from Zone 6 Boxing. Go check them out. It's Aztec 101 in the ring. I'm out.